I'm Logan Seavey, and this is The Skinny.
From Fatheadz Studios in Speedway, Indiana, this is The Skinny. Well, I thought I'd start this show off a little bit easier than I do on other shows, so let me start off by saying hello, Rico.
Hello, Ken.
A lot of times people think we hang out in the office together, but truth be known, I too usually come down here first, and you're in your executive suite upstairs, which I like going in there, don't get me wrong, but it's that
Legion of Doom.
It's that tub of chocolate-covered almonds that you hide in the drawer that scares me.
They're really not hidden.
Right, but you do keep them in a drawer. That way, at least it's out of sight, out of mind for me. And
I mean, when I know that you're coming, I actually have Carl take the crack-covered candy and put it up. So we try to keep it out of the hands of children.
I appreciate that. I mean, for sure. I'm starting off a little calmer today than I usually do because I clearly had to get out of bed early to come in here and start this show today. Is that the guy over there that we came in here? I got up early for Logan Seavey.
That guy.
That's him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Georgia.
Hey,
How was your trip in?
it was good. I came in last night, and I'm gonna go back to St. Louis today just to see
So
your
you've
guys'
been in here all night?
lovely faces. Yeah, slept down here on this bench actually.
Yeah.
The fans at home might
Hopefully
not-
there's no drool over there or anything on that.
Only
Little pillow
Logan
drool.
seat.
Most fans probably don't know that you actually. What is that drive? About 5 hours? You come in from St. Louis?
Four-ish.
Four. I can
Four
make
at
that
85 or 90?
3.5.
Well,
What are you, doing a speed limit or something?
all right, 3.5 maybe, depending where you're going.
So in the studio with us today is a talented young driver, Logan Seavey. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you. It's nice to be in here. It's pretty cool to check this new studio you guys got out. I think I did one upstairs with Buckley a few years ago, and I thought that place was really nice. And then I come down here. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, we don't let Buckley down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sean's only allowed to come in the front door, not all the way down.
We like Sean. He's a great cat, man, for sure. I called Klepper and I said, hey, man, I dug up a little bit of information. I said, what do you got for me on CV? And of course, he rattled off a couple of things, and he said, you can just watch my podcast if you want. He said, I had him on there. He said, and you can copy me. And I said, nah. I said, we're trying to make this one interesting. So thought I'd throw
We're starting
that
off
out
hot.
there.
So there was that.
So there was that. Hey, man, let's talk about your career a little bit. I know you did really well coming out of Northern California up above Sacramento, and I'm guessing a fair amount of time in outlaw karts or karts in general, and I believe you won a couple of championships in those crazy things as you were picking your way up at a young age.
Yeah. So I just, I was 5 years old, so 2002, outlaw karts in Northern California, just kind of the typical story. I just ran, same racetracks at Larson, Rico, a lot of Brad Sweet, a lot of guys that come from NorCal, kind of had the same path. Then went up to Placerville and ran wing 360s up there for about a year and a half. And by that time, I think I was 18, 19 or so. And then I met Jeff Taylor with Rockwell Security and got in a Power Eye Midget. So it kind of just took off from there. But yeah, definitely 10 to 12 years in outlaw karts. Definitely paid my dues over there in NorCal.
How much does that outlaw kart knowledge translate to what you're doing now? Would you have liked to come up through any other kind of vehicle, or would you wanted to be an outlaw kart?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't have it any other way. I really enjoyed outlaw karts. I still enjoy outlaw karts when I can, but I just think they're so hard to drive. They're so fast and they're so light, and you have a lot of grip, but then you don't have a lot of grip, and you got to run big tracks, you got to run small tracks, you run indoors, you run. What helped us a lot too is we got to run through the winter. So we ran indoors in California. Obviously the weather's not as rough as it is out here. So we raced, for a 5-6-year-old kid to run 40 times a year is quite a lot. So I think that was probably the biggest thing, just to get to race all year and never have to stop racing, never have to have that little time off, that off season like everybody talks about.
Did you know that the midget was the next general progression? Is that what you wanted to do?
I think the midget right away was kind of like what I really wanted to do ever since I even heard of the Chili Bowl at 8, 9, 10 years old is what I wanted to do. But I never really knew the transition. Like I said, I was just a hobby racer. It was just me and my family, and I never really I wanted to race, full time or, for a living or whatever, but I didn't really know what it took, and I didn't know how to get there, and I didn't know the path from NorCal to get all the way out here. So it's a big jump, and you don't really know how it works. And like I said, luckily we kind of had a few guys to pave that path, like Kyle and Rico and even Thorsten, and, a couple guys who were a little bit older than me that were able to get out here and kind of put the spotlight on outlaw carts. Then once that happened, people started looking at outlaw carts, and I think it kind of became real for me at that point when I kind of seen people that I grew up racing with or even watching race get out here and really, really do well and prove that if you can run good in outlaw carts and stuff like that, you probably can get out here and keep up with these guys. So that was big for me. And then, like I said, it just comes down to meeting the right people at the right times.
And we just had Tanner and Cody Swanson on as well. And so they're brothers that race as well. But your brother also races outlaw carts, so it was a family deal for you too.
Yeah. He started when he was 5 also, I think, or a couple years before me. And, he raced. And I was always, just a couple years behind him. But it was definitely a rivalry. And, whatever happened at the racetrack, we got to sit in the car and ride home together and then, spend the whole week together before we go racing again. So, he was, like I said, he was always a couple years ahead of me, but I always ended up, catching up to him right before he was progressing and stuff like that. And it really got serious, once we hit the highest class, 14, 15, 16 years old up to, I'd still run that same class now. So that's when it really got serious, and I kind of started racing for other people. And he's really, really good. Like I said, it just comes down to meeting the right people at the right time, and he just never quite got that opportunity, but he's still racing and still having fun, so it's still cool to see him do well.
Let's talk about 2016. I mean, you're talking about picking your way all up at a young age and working all that seat time, and then suddenly 2016 you have open heart surgery for a congenital heart defect, and 3 months later you're competing at the Chili Bowl. Why did it take so long, and what was the decision to finally say, hey, I need to go in and do this now?
Yeah, so my whole time growing up, I knew that I had something different with my heart, but they kind of brushed it off like no big deal. You'll be going to be fine, stuff like that. So after 5 or 6 years old, I never saw a cardiologist or anything. I just kind of lived my normal life, and I was athletic, sports, everything, raced, obviously. So it didn't seem to really be slowing me down much. I think looking back and knowing with the effects it had, I think it probably did affect me a little bit here and there. And then once I hit like 16, 17 years old, so whenever that would have been 2013 or 14, I just slowly started to struggle to breathe. And like I said, by the time I was really trying to get serious in racing, I was struggling bad. I couldn't breathe. I was, loosening my belts under caution. I get out of the car and, have to go sit down for 5, 6, 10 minutes to catch my breath, even to have a conversation. I wouldn't be able to do a podcast like this before my heart surgery. I couldn't talk for, more than a sentence or two. It was, like I said, I grew up and thought nothing of it. And then all of a sudden it kind of hit me within a year or two. I was struggling to talk, struggling to do my normal activities. So, started going back to the doctor, knowing something was up, and didn't really think it was a heart problem. And then, couldn't quite figure it out. Went to a new doctor, and the first, within 10 minutes, he said, yeah, you got a heart problem. And I was off to the cardiologist the next day, and it kind of just took off from there. But yeah, 2016 was a big one for me. I think, like I talked about, that's when I met Jeff Taylor, who kind of boosted me into racing out here in the Midwest. And I ran 2 midget races at the beginning of 2016, and I think it was in April. And they went pretty good, and we were kind of planning on running some more. And then it seemed like that heart deal came up, and then I was kind of done racing from there. I kept racing outlaw carts here and there, and I actually won. Kyle Larson puts on outlaw kart race in cycling. I pushed my heart surgery back just so I could run that race, and I won the race. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, wise decision. You have your priorities straight. Yeah,
we're going to run that race. Hell with this heart thing.
For sure.
Forget
as a
it.
racer,
they told me in April, and I was like, if I do it now, I'm going to miss that race. So I waited until September, and it worked out anyway. Like I said, I was trying to plan it to run that race and still get to run the Chili Bowl and still get a racing season in. Probably not my best decision, but it all worked out. Like I said, I think it was affecting me. I go back and watch that race, and my interview after, I say like 3 words, and I just stop because I can't even talk. So it was pretty crazy, but yeah, we're all good now.
Yeah, it's got to be frustrating.
Yeah, that quite an accomplishment. And then, like you say, being at the Chili Bowl a couple of months later, you must have felt significantly better. I mean, still was your chest and stuff still pretty sore at the time?
Yeah, for sure. It took a long time to really get everything back. I think the biggest thing was just getting energy and strength back. When you sit on the couch or sit in your room for 10 weeks straight, it's you just kind of lose everything you got. So I tried to anytime I would start feeling better after the surgery, I'd get out of the house and go do something, and then the next day I'd be laid up like it was a bad decision. So but yeah, it took me not as long as I thought it would take. The doctor said 8 weeks, I think, before you're supposed to lift stuff, and obviously no one listens.
I'm
no
not
one listens
really
to
anything
rules.
to drive a race car. I'm just sitting there.
They got power steering. I mean, you don't even have to worry about that
Yeah,
stuff.
so I was racing outlaw carts indoors at Red Bluff, which is a pretty rough place. Beating and banging. Like 8 or 10 weeks after the surgery, and first night out, of course, somebody crashes in front of me. I end up turning over, and I was fine.
Oh, no.
But yeah, I was sore. It takes a long time for mentally.
They crack the rib cage, right?
Yeah, they have to
sternum.
Yeah, they cut your sternum open, and then it breaks quite a few ribs when they pull it open and stuff like that. So
yeah, good.
It's painful for sure. But
on an outlaw cart, hell, that probably wouldn't hurt, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
So
what could go wrong?
So it's interesting. He's talking about the recovery time and things like that. It was interesting. We had Hinchcliffe on, right?
Yep.
And we were talking about when he, nearly lost his life at the Speedway. And the doctor told him point blank. He said, listen, you can take this many steps a day. Don't take another step other than that. And he said. So he had it all planned out. He would get up, he would walk around the couch X amount of times and get in X amount of steps, and he knew he needed this amount of steps to get lunch, to go to the bathroom, and like he had it all planned out every day. But the idea was if you push it too hard, you're going to regress. You're not going to go forward with this. And so it was pretty cool to hear that. And I mean,
It was funny the way he put it. He said, "I had to perfect doing nothing."
Yes, exactly. and you guys are running wide open. I mean, on and off the track. If you're not on the track, you're working other things, trying to get, more stuff going on the track. And, the thing about it is it's so, it's so difficult to slow down. I mean, even me, I mean, I've worked 7 days a week, but that's what I love doing. And I enjoy it. And the thought of going on a vacation is like scary. So I don't, So I'm like, I need to work. I got to do stuff. So, but yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. You got back that quick.
So we fast forward a couple of months now that you can breathe, and boom, 2017 Power Eye Champion Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. Rookie. Yeah. So that was, like I said, midgets to me growing up were just the coolest thing, and I thought that's what would really fit my driving style. And growing up in North Cal, like I talked about, the Little Bull Rings, we got to go run Power Eye, which is a ton of Little Bull Rings in Illinois, which I think Illinois has some of the best racetracks in the world. And I just love doing it. I got to race with Flea Ruzick, who's a genius in reality. I think he's really, really smart. He just has so much fun, and he just does so much weird, different stuff, and that's what he loves doing. And I respect him for doing that kind of stuff. And sometimes it works, and his cars go really good, and sometimes it doesn't. So, but yeah, that was with Flea and Kenny Brown and those guys, and like I keep talking about, Jeff Taylor was one of our main supporters on that car. So. That was kind of the stepping stone. The big stepping stone for me was getting out there and racing against, the real professional teams to prove that I could run with those guys. And it kind of kicked me into, 2018 and everything that's come after that.
I bought my first micro from Kenny Brown, so we're kind of like teammates a little bit.
Teammates.
Maybe not. Maybe better.
Teammate-ish.
But teammate-ish. But so 2017 Power Eye Champion, 2018 USAC National Champion. What's the next goal for you?
Well, hold on. I'm gonna back up a little bit. When did the relationship with Keith Coons develop? Was it because of 17?
Yeah, it was during.
Is that what put you into Keith Coons' car in 18?
Yeah. So it was during 2017. there was a race that it was me and Keith parked right next to each other, or my team and Keith's team parked right next to each other, and it was just Christopher racing, just Bell, so he didn't have the typical 6, 7, 8 cars, and I'd kind of heard that Thorsten was the guy at that point for Keith, and I believe it's maybe Spencer. I don't remember honestly. No, it was Thorsten, and yeah. So Thorsten was their main guy, and I'd kind of heard that he was going to do something else for 2018. And I was really good friends with Christopher Bell, so he was kind of feeding me in on all the inside knowledge. And I just walked into Keith's trailer, and I said, "Hey, what are you guys doing for next year? I would like to run the USAC National Midgets. I'd like to do it with you guys. So, if you guys are looking for a driver, just call me." And that was basically it. Because I didn't want to lose my ride that I already had either, so I didn't want them to think I was. I didn't want, I didn't
running around to somebody else. Way
yeah,
to go,
right.
pal.
I just wanted to go USAC racing. I'd already basically won at that point. It was basically over for the midget championship, so I'd already done that. So I knew I needed to do something more in 2018. I wasn't sure if that same team was going to go USAC racing because Kenny's so involved with Power Eye. So. Yeah, I knew I needed to go USAC racing. I need to be more at that point. I need to be more involved with Toyota. I was already running Toyota engines, but I was just trying to get in there farther. And I knew Keith had the best relationship with them. So, I was just trying to do whatever I could to, like I said, stay out here and keep racing out here. And Keith called. I think Pete called me like a week later and said, "Yeah, we're gonna do it." And we kind of started going from there. And I ran late models all that winter with Toyota, and then my first race with Keith was at Chili Bowl.
So whose late models were you running?
I was running the Huddlestons out in Southern California. It's like it's like a limited late, whatever they call them, late model stock.
Yep.
Just to get my feet wet in pavement, bigger cars, spotters, just trying to get me used to going through all the motions of stock car racing.
How was that?
It was fun. It was different. We ran a little tiny bull ring in Arizona, Lake Havasu, and it was kind of like it was just like a winter couple race series. It was almost like a run what you brung. They didn't really have a ton of rules, so we could just go out there and it was me and they just kept, Toyota would just throw up 3 or 4 guys a week and we'd just go, basically test late models. It was a race, but really what we're doing was just testing, trying to learn. And it was fun. It was different. I just like doing different stuff. I don't really like to do the same thing 3 or 4 years in a row. I like to, go out and learn new cars. That's what I really enjoy doing right now. I got to jump into Silver Crown the car this year. Last year I got to do ARCA races, truck races. So I enjoy learning new stuff, and the stock car deal is definitely a lot different.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, So Cody, we did an ARCA deal with him at Iowa. He did, Cody has been with us a long time, and we did the ARCA race with him, and he got done, and after he was finished destroying himself about how bad he was, which clearly he was not, but after he got done with that, we finally got to talk about it a little bit, and he's sitting there telling me, he goes on the restarts, because he was getting killed on restarts, and he said on the restarts, he goes, I just didn't know where I was. Like he didn't know that tire was up there, like on an open wheel car, he didn't know that stuff was up there. So he didn't know where the fenders were, how big that car was, or where he was getting, the front, the nose on it or whatever. And so anyhow, we were talking about doing another one, and I said, listen, here's the deal. I said, I got you. I'll work it with you, another ARCA show. But man, if you don't put a fender on somebody, I'm not doing it with you again. So, but and of course, Cody's so aggressive.
Yeah, right. It's totally his style.
My deal, I'd run into people on accident all the time or hit the wall going down the straightaway. Same deal. Like, I just don't know how big this thing is. So I go into the corner and wham, I hit the wall. Or, I get down the straightaway and I think I'm kind of still far away from the guy. And I see the back of his car pick up and I'm like, oops. Like, it's just,
that's where that testing comes into play.
That's like Stuart when we were at his house and he had a shell helmet there. Well, the shell deal was when he was running Bush for Gibbs. That was his first full year with Gibbs and Bush. And he goes, I said, the old shell helmet. He goes, oh yeah. He goes, that's before I even knew how to line up. Like he was talking about lining up in a starting grid. I was like, yeah, okay, but yeah. So I mean, it's an interesting deal, and And, that's kind of the thing with Cody and, of course, our involvement with you, I love seeing people go in different places, right, and do different things. And, maybe it's Brady running, the sprint cars, which this Saturday, it's on this Saturday. Who's he in front of?
Chris Wyndham.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure I was
I think
trying
it's
to.
like 35 points.
It's 30, but
30.
yes.
That's
No,
pretty
he
tough.
he texted me this morning, was asking if I was going to make it to Lawrenceburg, which I of course would love to go to Lawrenceburg to see it, but we've got our first and only event at the Speedway this year with the Harvest GP.
I was curious. Are they letting fans in
10,000.
for that race?
You didn't get your tickets from us?
No.
Oh,
Yeah, didn't get those.
Carl, what happened?
Maybe I need to get my wallet out.
Yeah.
Then my tickets will show up.
No, we wouldn't want that, and then you would expect something out of us. So we'll clearly give you the tickets because
I will pay for my own liquor if you'll just give me a ticket.
that is total BS.
You know what?
That
I'll
is
buy the
not-
ticket if you give me the liquor.
Yeah, that's a bad move right there. It's a horrible idea, but anyhow, it's taking and going into everything, and it was, the first person I ever watched that did that really jumped out at me was Kenny Schrader. And Schrader's one of those guys, he could get in anything, and he came through open wheel. He ran a lot of open wheel, and then he moved up to the stock cars and things like that. Of course, Tony, Hewitt, but I mean, there's of course Jeff Gordon as well. I couldn't miss him, but there's few people that have that opportunity, and I know that Chris Wyndham has had some opportunity in it, but it's so hard right now. I mean, it's like you get into one thing, it's like, oh, he's a midget driver. It's kind of like somebody that does movies, right? Well, he's an action guy, and so you can't move out of that hole. So I'm happy to see or watch you kind of try a lot of different things and listen. If you're a racer, you're a racer, right? You're wanting to. I mean, it's like I said about the Speedway. If they're running hogs around the track, it's like, we gotta go to the track. They're running stuff.
Yeah, they're racing something.
Yeah. So anyhow,
I'm kind of curious if you can talk about this. Maybe you aren't comfortable with it, which I certainly understand. In which case, we'll just ask you to leave. But just kidding you, man. Whenever you did your deal, I'm guessing you were beating up on some of Keith Kuhn's drivers in 17 when you won that championship with the Power I. But when you walk into the trailer, a week later they call you back and the deal's coming together. I had spoke to Jack Irving back in around that time, maybe a year or two earlier, and Jack Irving with Toyota, and I had asked him what's the plan, like how do you get somebody in the car and go forward in this deal, and he said even if we choose you as a Toyota driver, he said, we probably cover about 50% of that. He said, it's an engine program. It's able to help the team out. And we cover, he said, at the end of the day, it's probably about 50%. He said, the driver still has to bring about 50% of the sponsorship. Was that the case with you guys?
I don't really ask financial questions when I race with people. I just kind of go do my job. So I don't know all the ins and outs of how their system works. But from what I picked up racing there, Keith and Pete have, have their one house car basically is what I consider it. And yeah, that's kind of what I picked up too, is that Toyota kind of covered all the engine costs, which is obviously a big cost, like I said, about probably half. And then Keith and Pete kind of cover, crash costs, tire costs, fuel costs, stuff like that. But obviously they cover that with all the other kids they have bringing money also.
Gotcha.
So they have renters that they have people that rent their cars that pay for, their one guy to race, which I believe this year would be Buddy Kofoid. So Buddy I don't believe brings anything. Like I said, I don't ask questions. I don't know all the ins and outs of their system. I raced there for 2 years, and
I just want to drive.
I didn't ask a single question
Well,
about
no,
how
that's
they
good.
do
I
it.
mean, so they didn't
Right.
ask you to bring money.
No,
then.
no.
I got you. Okay,
Yeah.
because at the time, and this was probably around 16 or 17, I had spoke to Keith as well, and I think his program was around 350,
Yep.
probably closer to 5 now.
Yep.
But but it's also a really big schedule too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of racing.
Yeah, that's one thing they do a lot of. Is they race every major race that they can get to is they're there. So it's sometimes they'll split up and take one trailer to the USAC, and they take the kids that can't run USAC to the Power I races. But yeah, that's definitely how I see it. As I kind of saw it as, my job was to make sure their cars win. So people want to pay them money to drive their race cars. So
Right, you're the marketing
that's,
piece.
right?
Sure.
So that's the job as their their guys.
Yeah, they want to put a guy in that's going to continue to win and keep their name at the top.
To make
of the
sure
pack,
they're at
for
the
sure.
top and make sure that the parents want their kids driving his race cars so they can see if they got what it takes.
And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I am amazed with how many shows they do. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how Keith doesn't look like he's 100. You know what I mean? Because they are nonstop on the road. And I mean, I don't care if you have a full crew. I mean, it's like here we have a full crew of people that work. But even with a full crew of people, there's still a lot of decisions that I have to make that others don't, or they ask me about. So, there's still a lot of stress that goes along with it. So, I mean, the whole thing with how much Keith and those guys do is pretty amazing. And you know what? People like Logan and USAC and other kids are lucky to have them because there's not a lot of, there's not a lot of those guys out there anymore that have that stuff, used to have Stewart, used to have Kane and, those guys, and which the Kane story was great. I loved watching it when it was Brady and Kevin Swindell.
Yep.
Swindell just destroying cars down at Salem. I'm like, when does this end? Like, I mean, he was fast, but he was wild on asphalt, on pavement, man. He was way wild. So, but no, I'm happy for you there.
And what I was going to say, I mean, and this firsthand, it's kind of cool to see how KKM has developed over the last couple of years as well. Like, they'll show up to the track with 9 or 10 cars, and it doesn't phase them at all. But, I mean, you came in kind of like on the beginning of that a little bit where, it was, you and Thorson and Spencer and all that stuff. But now to see this new generation of people, you got Dason Pursley and Kanan McIntosh and, all these, Kaylee Bryson, all these people that are developing. And when you said bringing kids to the track that they can't go to, I mean, you got to be 16 to race with USAC or something like that. I mean, and some of them are coming in at 14, 15. I mean, how crazy is that to see that develop?
Yeah, it is wild. I think going back to, like I said, when Kyle and everybody first started coming up, obviously Keith's been around for a long time, but I kind of first started hearing about him more was when Kyle started racing for him, and it was, it was like Kyle and Brian. There was 1 or 2 cars, and then as he went on, like I said, he picked up Tanner, and next thing you know, he's got 4 or 5 cars, Rico, and then Ryan, and then, I get there, and we were running 7, 8 cars a night, and it's a lot, and it just blows my mind how they do it, but to get there and have to unload 8 cars, and then maintenance 8 cars, and just do the whole process. Have 8 drivers. We're in the lounge of the trailer, and there's 4 of us trying to get dressed at the same time. It's a lot, but it's fun. It was a cool experience, and I think that's why a lot of teams kind of look up to them, is they not only do it, but with 8 guys, but they do it well, and they don't break, and nothing falls off their race cars, and I just think that what they do is insane, and it's definitely not cut out for everybody. That's for sure.
So you joined a group of 2 other notables in 2018 as well, as Georgia was alluding to there, winning that championship in 2018 with USAC and Rookie of the Year, and joined Carruthers and your good buddy Christopher Bell as only the 3rd driver in USAC history to win that championship in your rookie season. Pretty impressive.
You like those Rookie of the Year years.
Yeah, that was unexpected, I think. Coming in with Keith, I thought we'd run really well, and I thought we'd win races and stuff like that, but, to compete with the guy, Spencer and Sunshine and Grant and everybody who we had to race with that year was big. I think we showed up to DeCoin. The first race of the season, we won DeCoin. That was only my 2nd USAC midget race ever, and we won that. And then, we did just really, really consistent that year. We ran up front basically every night. We won 3 races, but we ran up front every single night, and like I said, nothing ever broke. We didn't have a single DNF. I probably raced 60 or 70 races with Keith that year, and never broke, never crashed, like nothing fell off the race car, and that's just what it takes to win a 30 race season. You have to run up front, and nothing falls off the race car. So it's weird showing up to all those racetracks and only seeing videos, like I've seen this place on video. I've seen I've played this place on the computer or whatever, but and all the, racing against everybody that has been racing in Indiana, Illinois, whatever, for 5, 6, 7, whatever, 10 years, Jerry, whoever you're racing against that night's been out here for 10, 15 years. So
20.
Yeah. So it's tough at times, but that's just part of what makes it so cool, and why there's only a couple of guys that have been able to do it. So
And that's the interesting thing. We took a little bit of a hiatus from USAC with some things, and I remember hearing Logan's name, and here he is with Keith, and I'm like, this kid is destroying people. And I mean, he's just the first year. I'm like, it got my attention. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you actually absolutely are saying, okay, who is this? You know what I mean? It's not like you look at it and go, oh, it's a Cottle, a Stambro, a Wyndham, or the guys that you know that have been around a little while, and then it's like, okay, who's Logan Seavey?
It's like, okay, who did Keith find now?
Yes, exactly.
Which is cool, and I love what you said. With Power I coming off small tracks, running Power I tracks again, bull rings, but then you go to USAC and you've got some big speed tracks over there, so it had to be exciting for you too, and certainly getting you out of your comfort zone.
I was very anti-big track for a while, and then I went to Eldora, and I kind of fell in love with midgets on big tracks. And now I wish we'd go to Port Royal, and I wish they'd take them back to Knoxville, and let's take these things to some big racetracks.
Let's air them out a little bit.
Let's take them back to Terre Haute. Jay Draker in that one for us, but I'd love to take midgets back to the big tracks, and I just really like the big tracks all of a sudden. I don't know what hit me in 2018, but the end of the Eldora race, whatever happened, I got going really good at the end, and then after that, it was like, let's go to Eldora 5 times a year, and let's go, like I said, let's go to Knoxville, let's go to Port Royal, let's go to all the big tracks.
I know Jack Irvin, again from Toyota, I know his key, what he said to me was, we got it for a development driver. They wanted the guys in the cars. I mean, racing literally every weekend if possible, and a lot of late model stuff, as you talked about it, to bump your way up into the full-bodied cars. And 2018, you also did an incredible job there. I was actually hosting the ARCA races that year, but I remember you going to the 2 fairgrounds, but at DuQuoin, stepping up there and winning. I think it was your second start in ARCA, and you're winning that race. And then
who was that with? Venturini?
Venturini.
Yeah. Venturini, yeah. And Venturini had a mixed program. I mean, he had some older cars and he had some newer cars, But
that was before he was locked down with Toyota. He had some Chevys and different stuff. So
yeah, I thought he was the Toyota team that
he won with Toyota, but Venturini had, I think, at the time, he had a couple of different teams, didn't he?
I'm not sure, honestly, in 2018 what he had. I know he only had like one full-time guy in 2018. He had a bunch of people like Toyota just throwing people at him, coming in here and there.
Okay, they may have been full Toyota. I know.
Yeah, they had Toyota drivers, so they might. I think they were full Toyota by 2018.
Yeah, great group of people.
Yeah. And then, of course, you had a great run with for Kyle Busch, in the truck, and I mean, it looked like you were going to win that race. I think a caution flag came out and changed things up a little bit, but spectacular effort there, finishing inside of the top 10 for him and inside of the truck. But what I'm driving towards is you came out of the open wheel cars, got into the full-bodied cars, immediate success right there, and it didn't go any further. What happened?
Super late model stuff was, I feel like, probably what they used the most to judge you, and I ran okay. I was fast. It just never seemed like stuff would fall the right way. Everything else is just falling the right way for me. Everything else is just going really well. And anytime I got in a super late model, we'd be fast, we'd run up front, but we just never get the finishes we needed. And that's what I feel like we were probably getting judged on the most, which at the whole time, I just didn't really see I don't want to say I didn't see the point in super late model racing. I think they're really fun race cars. I think they're cool race cars, but if NASCAR is the goal, I don't see how super late models.
I agree with you.
I don't see how they reflect
Jack,
at all.
He put a lot of weight on super lates.
Yeah.
There is no question about it. They wanted you to run a bunch of them, and they wanted to see you win and do well in those.
Yep. And
they placed a lot of weight on that to go forward. So it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think that was the big part. And like I said, I just don't see how it translates as well to the stuff that if NASCAR is the goal, I just didn't see why the super late models
heavy
were.
Car.
Yeah, they're light cars, they're fast car. It's
with a lot of power.
It's a lot more
motor,
like dirt racing. They're fast, they're quick, they've got grip, you have power, and then they want to send you. And then the next step is a truck, which is big, heavy, slow. You run wide open everywhere you go. Basically all the big tracks you run wide open. So yeah, I just didn't really see how it translated, but I didn't think I was bad in super late models. I mean, I crashed a couple cars, which just whatever. But yeah, I think that was probably it for me was the super late model deal. I got in good cars. I mean, I ran with KBM, I ran with Wimmer, I ran with a lot of good teams, but it just didn't go the way
I
it needed
know,
to.
and again, in having conversations with Jack at that time around those years, I remember him saying to me, because we'd also talked about how young these kids are. Jack's looking at kids that are 13, 14 years old that are coming up that are going into the
crazy.
Toyota program.
Yeah.
So they're looking at them really, really young. But I remember him telling me that, and the numbers are going to be off here, but he said something to the area of, we've got 8 or 9 really good drivers right now that we could continue to push.
Yep.
He said the problem is we only have 4 cars to put them in.
There's only 4
once
Cup
we
cars.
get out of the midget sprint car level, you know, to go up and into trucks, let's say, or Arco trucks, whatever. He only had a couple of cars, so you can fall prey to that too. You can get really, really close, which it seems like you certainly did, and then just number out of the game. It's so difficult.
Yeah, it is. It's just like I said, there's so many people fighting for 4 truck seats or 5 truck seats or whatever it is, and it's not like it's not like a normal sport or whatever where there's 20 teams with 50 seats on each of them or 30 seats on each of them, but it's just tough. Yeah, there's lots of young kids, like you said, that they're looking at thinking that that's going to be their route, and I think I think why they have so much emphasis on the super late model deal is probably just because of Kyle. Kyle Busch has, he has his own team and stuff like that. He really likes them. But I think the kid that was probably the reason why I didn't was Chandler Smith. He's just really, really good in super late models, and he got into trucks right away and ran really well. So they just didn't really. I don't think they had room. So I think that was what it came down to. There was unless. I think if I won that truck race, like I said, they probably maybe would have worked something out to get me in some more truck stuff. And I think a truck race on pavement probably would have changed the game for me a lot too. So, yeah, it just didn't all work out, but it is what it is. I'm not too upset about it.
Well, fast forward a little bit. You're in sprint cars now, USAC sprint cars. That's a new venture for you. What has that learning curve been like?
It's been different. Yeah, I think I've ran 3 or 4 sprint car races in 17, and then 5 to 10, 15 sprint car races, maybe less than that in 18, and then a decent amount 20 races last year. So I just kind of slowly been working into it. But yeah, from the start, I feel like this has probably been the worst year from my last. I've been slowly working into it with less experience. I feel like I was doing better. So I don't know. I ran, like I said, I started in 17 with Briscoe, and then I went to the Hocka with Dom, and 18, I ran a little bit with Briscoe, a little bit with Andy Reinhold, and then 19, I ran with Reinhold, and won my first sprint car race, or national sprint car race, which was really cool. And yeah, we just had so much fun racing with Andy the last couple of years. And 2020 hit, and we went to Florida and ran good. It was like everything was going good, and then the whole coronavirus quarantine, whatever you want to call it, hit, and we took a long break, and we came back, and we just never found the speed. We kind of got going a little bit, and then I got hurt and crashed and whatever, and put me out for a few weeks. And sprint week I thought was going good. We won a night at sprint week, and we were fast at Lawrenceburg and really fast at Putnamville, and it rained out. And I don't know. We just we can't ever get in a rhythm to get going good this year. So I don't know what the problem seems to be, but yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it. The first year on the USAC National Sprint Car Tour's been fun. 1 race left is weird, but
it's so weird.
October 3rd, the last race of the season, is just odd, but just whatever. It's just part of 2020, I guess. But it just, like I said, it's just this year's kind of been tearing us up a little bit. So we gotta figure it out and get going better for next year for sure.
So I hinted on it a little bit, but what is that next goal for you? You got the 2 midget championships. Are you looking to get a sprint car championship with USAC, or do you want to go wing racing, or what's the direction that you want to head?
Like I said, I like to do new stuff, so I go wing racing a few times. I've only run 1 race this year just because the scheduling is so crazy, but I do enjoy wing racing when I get to do it. Right now the goal for me is to win the sprint car championship, and hopefully at some point win a crown championship too. So I really enjoyed the crown races. We talked about, like I said, I just really like doing different stuff, and the crown racing is almost a mixture of pavement and dirt racing. You get the spotter, you get to talk to your crew chief, you get a long race, you get the track changing and your car changing and tire wear, and there's just so much more you got to think about in a crown race rather than a sprint car race where you just run as hard as you can for 30 laps, which is I which is what I love. I love, having to run that hard. And as a fan, I think it's the best style of racing in the world. And, but yeah, the crown racing is just such a different vibe, such a different feel. You get in the car and it's totally a different mindset. And that's what I like. Like I said, I just keep saying, I like doing different stuff. And the crown racing is really fun for me.
And you said you liked the big tracks, so the Silver Crown car is kind of the best of both worlds there.
Yeah, it sucks that I feel like the coolest big track that they run is DuQuoin, and we don't get to go there right now. So I feel like it's probably the best as far as being able to race and pass. And there's a lot more fuel strategy there because the top does come in. But if you run the top the whole race, you're going to run out of fuel really early. So I feel like there's a lot more strategy there rather than a place like the Indy Mile or Springfield where you're kind of committed to the same line. And yeah, it's just, I do it. Like I said, I do enjoy the big tracks. Running that mile is a lot different than, a Eldor or a Knoxville or whatever. But yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I just really enjoyed the Crown cars from what I've got to race this year.
Describe Lincoln Park Speedway in one word.
PG-13.
Man, as far as the racetrack, honestly, I think it's the best track in Indiana. It's destroyed me this year, obviously. I went to a local show, missed a show. I crashed in the V main. I went to the USAC show, crashed in the V main, knocked myself out at Midget week. Yeah,
Not been kind to you.
I mean, nice job, Kim.
Brutal.
This is really
the
cool.
word would be brutal.
Yeah, right.
It's my favorite track in Indiana, though.
The irony there.
I
Yeah.
know it. I think it's the coolest track, though. I really do. But yeah, this year it's not been nice to me. But yeah, I love that place. Honestly, everybody's asked me why, or they expect me to hate it, but I just think it's one of the best tracks in Indiana.
We had the same with my son Robert races as well, and we had the same experience with Mid-Ohio for I don't know how many years. This is his favorite track, loved to go there, and every time we would go there, we would get in a crash. Somebody would spin out over the hill at 9.
Yep.
He wouldn't know he was there up over the hill and
Yep.
T-bone or jerk the car out of the way and while trying to miss somebody or something crazy would happen. One time he's racing, it looked like he was going to win the race. The guy in front of him that he had been battling with, they had swapped the lead a number of times. We had a better handling car. He had a more powerful car. And then the guy had a mechanical and slowed down, literally like one lap to go. Boom, right behind him, same lap. We have a mechanical and slow down and end up right behind him. It's just the way it went, But Mid-Ohio was just one of those tracks where it's like you're talking about with Lincoln Park, this speedway, and then finally he got the monkey off his back and got a win there. But it's funny how it goes, how you can have that passion for that track. It's like, I love this place. I just get my ass kicked every time I come here. I don't know why.
And you had to run a double feature there this year.
Yeah. The double feature is the night that during sprint week when it rained out, we were like really good. Like we went quick time, won our heat, and the track was really rough, and we were just really fast. Like I've never really like showed up to or like pushing out for the feature, being like I feel like I have a really good chance to win this race. I think every time I feel like I race, I feel like I should have a decent chance. But that race, I feel like my odds were really high to win that race. I just was so confident. Our car was so good, and then it rains, and it's just so 2020 right there. And then
Put the wets on it. Let's go.
they announced they were doing a 2 double header, and obviously we knowing the track was going to be a lot different. We ran the first race in the day, and our freaking brakes fall off the car. I had no brakes the whole race, and we still were running pretty good. I think we ran 5th, but just every time we go to Lincoln Park, it just seems to bite us this year.
At least
Funny
their
how it
popcorn's
goes.
good.
Popcorn is
They're
good.
the best popcorn.
How's Lawrenceburg's popcorn?
So
We won't talk about that one.
There must be something inside joke there.
Right.
I got in trouble for posting about Lawrenceburg Speedway's popcorn. I got in trouble from Lawrenceburg Speedway and USAC for saying that it wasn't. It's fine. It's literally fine. But
Don't bull.
I got-
You're not there anymore. So
I
just
got-
say whatever
I
you
had to
want.
apologize.
Oh,
I-
Was there not
Wow.
enough butter on it, or
Right.
too
What
salty?
what makes it the good popcorn? I need this.
You have to go to Lincoln Park Speedway and have their popcorn. It's the best popcorn you will ever have in your life. Every piece is the perfect amount of butter, perfect amount of salt, and they give you this huge bag for like
There's
$3.
no one pop kernels at the bottom.
It's the butter to salt ratio for
Yeah,
sure.
it is. I had a big thing going during Indiana Midget Week of every track we went to. I would rate their popcorn, and I'm so sorry that their
Yeah. Hey,
popcorn wasn't
listen,
the
don't
best.
hurt
and
people's feelings about popcorn.
Don't you
okay?
ever
Well,
be honest
don't
again.
you
Don't
be
ever
honest.
have an
Some
honest
people's
opinion
feelings.
again. That's
We-
clearly
No,
out of
she
line.
said it was overpriced.
Yeah, and then but then I
love it.
posted.
That's what got
Yes.
Then I posted about the pizza because they have really, really great pizza,
Right.
which is double the price of the popcorn. So I was
Yeah.
like, in a way, I mean, I felt like I was helping, but at the same time, everyone else was mad. So
Yeah.
I guess I won't
yeah.
be posting about popcorn anymore.
Well, you know what? We will.
Okay.
We will. And
Okay.
actually, when we
Maybe
roll
we'll
the,
get you a popcorn maker. you
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
maybe we'll have a
Maybe-
gourmet
I'm all about
popcorn.
popcorn.
Maybe we'll get them to send us some popcorn and we'll evaluate.
We'll evaluate things.
So nice choice and team for this year with Reinhold, Underwood, and of course the team that CJ won the championship with year previous. What's the plans going forward? Looks like you'll stay with them next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think me and Andy just have a really, really good relationship outside of racing, even. So that right now is the plan for me, at least. I believe that's Andy's plan. Like I said, we just have barely started even breaking into that conversation right now, just because it's such an odd time of the year to have it. But he built the midget this year, so we've been kind of playing with the midgets a little bit. Andy loves midgets, honestly. He's a sprint car owner, but he loves midgets more than sprint cars, I would say. He just eats up midgets. I don't know what it is, but he just thinks they're the coolest thing. And I do too, honestly. I love midget racing. But yeah, we're going to go out west with the midget and see how that goes, and hopefully win some of those bigger races. And then committed to doing Chili Bowl again with Swindell. I guess this is an announcement. I guess this is going to come
Ooh.
up.
There you go. It's
Okay.
out, man. Say it
I'm
with
probably going to
pride.
get in
Voila.
trouble.
Nice.
I just started saying I'm probably going to get in trouble from Jordan, but I'm sure it'll come out soon.
Good.
So, yeah, so far that's just all I have right now is
Well, that's super cool.
midgets out west, doing indoor stuff with the Swindells again. So hopefully that's not as big of an announcement as last year because I already did it for
Yeah,
them
you were
once.
already there.
Yeah, I was already there, so it's kind of expected, I feel like, right now, but I don't know. So hopefully I don't get in too much trouble.
Did he just buy a piece of property here?
Yes, he did.
And
Yeah.
Did he buy it in Brownsburg?
Yes.
Was it a
I
1
like
acre
this. Are you
lot?
getting warmer? This is good.
Yeah. So
I had
he's-
no clue, honestly. I mean, I was chatting with Klepper, and Klepper said, "I think those guys just bought some property here." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, they're out of the Phoenix area." I said, "Really?"
Do you own
I
the
said, "What are the
property?"
chances we uncan this deal on the skinny?" But I'll bet you $1 to a nickel it was my lot that he bought.
Yeah.
So
You
it
bought
just-
yours?
Yeah, just
Wow.
recently. Yeah, I
Yeah,
had no idea.
no.
I knew it was a race team.
What?
I
He
knew
just
he was
broke
going to
ground.
build a race shop there, and I knew he was
That's
out of the
crazy.
Phoenix area.
Yeah.
And then Klepper said something about it last night, and I'm like, I mean, it's got to be the same one. I knew it was an electrical company because whenever we did closing, I think it was, maybe it's in the business name, but
Yep.
that's pretty funny that
Yeah.
that we have you on here and you're driving for those guys, and he bought the lot for me. That, as they always say, it's a small world, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. That's pretty cool. But
Pretty
yeah.
cool. So that's really
That's
cool.
his
Yeah, it's
plan.
like 5 minutes from my house. So yeah, best of luck with that, man, for sure.
So, what was the first Silver Crown dirt race you ran this year?
Sealands Grove.
That's
How
what
was
I
that?
thought.
I mean, the Silver Crown cars hadn't even been there, and
Yeah.
I don't even remember the stat, but they hadn't been there forever. Have you ever been there
No.
at all?
No, the only places I've been in PA are where midgets race. So, yeah, I went to Sealands Grove, pretty big place, first crown race.
Huge.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I don't think anybody knew what to expect. You know, myself, Robbie, Joe, nobody really knew what we were doing or what we were getting into. But we were fast. We were really fast. I was kind of conservative in hot laps, and we were pretty slow. And then went out to qualify, and we qualified like 6th, which was a lot better than what we'd been hot lapping. And raced well. We thought we had the right plan. We saved tire, made it to very close to the end. I think we were running 3rd or 4th on the last lap, and blew a tire going into 3. So, yeah, kind of a weird deal. I don't think anybody expected tire wear to be that big
yeah.
there. And then all of a sudden, it took rubber in 3 and 4, and
Dude,
yeah,
they started chewing them
and
up.
it destroyed.
I mean,
them.
Shane blew a tire and came back and
Drove by. Yeah, I
Did it?
think that was
I
the best
know.
strategy. If you can
I
get your
know.
tire changed quick enough, you just gotta blow
I
it.
know he was. Yeah, he didn't lose a lap. He went in and changed the tire, and
drove right back through the field.
He did it right. He blew his tire, and someone turned over doing it, so he got plenty of time.
yeah, right.
He had a red flag
Yeah.
to change his tire.
Right.
If we do this right,
Yeah, Shane's been part of our deal for a long time, and is a good friend as well. And
He's great.
he's definitely something. So the Hoosier 100 had a pretty good run there.
Yeah. I think
Salem? Did you
That
run
was
Salem?
Only
no,
dirt.
just dirt.
Oh, just
yeah,
dirt.
I think that was we'd run Sealands Grove, which was obviously really good. We had a good showing, but going to a mile, I feel like for the dirt crown cars is kind of where you really show what you have, and if you got a good engine, if you got everything's put together right, is really when that speed shows. A guy could be 8/10 off. You go there and you don't know if you're going to be up to pace or you're going to be a second off the pace or what you really have. And we were really, really fast. We qualified second, and obviously Kyle Larson was a quick time, but then he changed tires, which probably ended up being the better strategy.
That was an interesting strategy.
Yeah, so we ended up on
started on the rear.
I heard a couple
Yeah.
of people did that actually.
Yeah, a handful of guys did. So yeah,
But only one of them's last name was Larson.
Yeah.
So that was the only difference.
Yeah, it was not good because I think Sunshine put a hard tire on to qualify, which is helped him out a little bit with the starting position. But we started on the pole, and CJ was next to me, I think, and he took off a little bit better, and I was running in second. And next thing you know, I knew Sunshine and Kyle were on harder tires, and they were going to be the guys that were going to be tough if they got up front. And like lap 3, Sunshine goes flying by me because I'm just trying to save my tire a little bit. And then we had a yellow, and Robbie was spotting for me. Just like, yeah, Kyle's like 1 spot or 2 spots back. So I knew when he got to the front that early, we were all in trouble. Because, like I said, he had a harder tire. He didn't have to conserve much.
You said Robbie fast?
Robbie Rice.
Okay.
So he didn't have to conserve much, and he drove. Like I said, I was just trying to pace with CJ just because I knew we were on the same tire, and I knew he had run the race before, so I knew he kind of had a better idea of a pace than I did. That's those things, like you don't know how long this tire. My first time ever on a mile in the rubber, I have no idea. I know it's a really hard tire, but I have no idea how long it's gonna last, how hard you can run. Probably not the best idea I've ever had, but like even my warm-up lap for qualifying, like I was trying to conserve because I knew like we got to run this tire for a whole race. So like coming to the green and qualifying, I was even then, I'm already thinking conserve tire. But yeah, I'm conserving, and next thing you know, Sunshine goes flying by me and Larson goes flying by me, and now I'm like, okay, we're in trouble. These guys got hard tires and they're already ahead of us. The only hope really is to make sure they stay behind you and really hurt their tire trying to go by you, and it is not how the race played out for us. So they got racing with CJ really hard, which I thought was going to work out for me. Everybody, CJ especially used up his tire, but somehow he made his last. But yeah, Kyle just ended up, he had a little bit better tire, and he was just really, really fast. So I don't know. I just got to get better, I guess.
So what's your next Silver Crown race?
We have the Springfield Mile on October 18th.
Oh, Springfield Mile.
Yeah.
Springfield
You
Bentonhausen
have anything to
100.
do with that, Rico?
Yeah, presented by Fatheadz Eyewear.
Wow.
We're the ones that we're going to step in with
I think that's October 18th.
October 18th,
And
it
I
is.
believe we're going to give 10 tickets away.
We're going to give 10 tickets away when the show drops. We'll have some more stuff leading up, or there'll be things that have led up to this. How do you say that in next tense? Is it next tense? Next tense. Is that a word? Can we make that up?
I think you just did it. It's official. You say it on one of these shows like this, and
It'll be on the interwebs.
your word.
yeah,
Now it's official.
whoever works at Webster, is adding it in right now. We created the word, and the racing industry, I'm convinced, created the word winningest.
Winningest.
It was.
I've never
It
even
was
thought about
not a
that.
word, but after 20 years of saying he's the winningest sprint car driver in history,
What would the correct
now?
the
But
most-
now
He has won the most,
won the most?
everybody,
but it's winningest.
everybody
Winning.
says it, and I've yet to look it up, but I'll bet you it's next on the list to go into the Webster's dictionary.
Yeah.
Logan traded his steering wheel for a microphone last week.
Oh yeah, so I
got
wasn't
Governor's
aware of
reign.
that. You'd mentioned that, Georgia.
He did. He
fill us in.
accompanied Flow Racing, did some commentary. How was that?
It was fun. It was a lot different.
He did a great job.
It
also.
was a lot different, but it was a lot like just kind of doing an interview. Luckily I wasn't out there by myself or something like that. I always had Haley asking me questions, or Dylan asking me questions, or Blake in the booth asking stuff. So it was just more like interviews. So it made it a lot easier on me. If I had to be like a full blown pit reporter, I don't know if I could have done that, but it was fun. It was cool, and I would definitely do it again.
Man, thanks a lot for coming out and spending some time with us, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's always fun. I come over
You
here.
live here now, right? Correct?
Yeah, in Brownsburg. So every once in a while, I'll come sit in the sit in Rico's office and hang out for a little bit. But yeah, it's always fun coming down here and talking to all you guys.
More exciting news on our next show, by the way. We've got a couple of exciting people, Shane Tecklenburg and Danny Drynan, coming in here. So we've got plenty of action coming your way. Thanks for watching The Skinny. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to check out the Bentonhausen 100 at the Illinois State Fairgrounds in Springfield, Illinois, presented by Fatheadz Eyewear. We'd love to see you out there Sunday, October 18th. Be sure to check out all the latest sun and optical eyewear at fatheadz.com. Special thanks to our sponsorship partners at Elliott's Custom Trailers and Carts. This has been a production of Fathead Studios. Please remember to subscribe.